You're just jealous because I have everything you don't. Those were the last words Camille said to me right before she blocked my number. A month later, I became the VP of strategy at her fiancé's company, his new boss, me. You're just jealous because I have everything you don't. Camille said it with a smirk, loud enough for the room to hear. The clink of champagne glasses softened, but only just. I stood frozen, veil in hand, heart jackhammering behind my ribs. This was supposed to be her dress rehearsal, and I was supposed to be her best friend. Instead, I was now a public villain in a room filled with white roses, Instagram smiles, and very real judgment. Camille Torres and I had been best friends since freshman year at Northwestern. I was the girl with a plan and a calendar for everything. She was the kind who breezed into a room like confetti, loud, sparkling, and impossible to ignore. Our friendship survived college, career climbs, and breakups. But it fractured the moment she got engaged to Landon Myers. Landon was complicated. We'd met at a leadership seminar 3 years ago, me, the overworked strategist from a PR firm, him, the golden boy from a scrappy tech startup. There had been sparks, but I never acted on them. Camille did. And the rest, as they say, was a carousel of ring selfies, Pinterest boards, and curated hashtags, until the dress rehearsal, until she snapped, until I became the girl accused of jealousy, and she became the fiancé of my future direct report. Let's rewind. I'd just walked away from a 6-year position at Middleton and Ray after turning down another promotion I didn't want. I was burnt out, over it, and silently aching for something that wasn't built around men in tailored suits pretending to be revolutionaries. I needed a change. So when I got a cryptic message from Derek Lin, founder of the venture-backed tech firm Atlas Field, I followed up. He offered me a job I couldn't refuse, VP of Strategy, reporting directly to the C-suite. What I didn't know until onboarding day was that Landon Myers, my best friend's fiancé, was head of product, and I was now his boss. But back to the rehearsal dinner. She'd seen me laugh at something Landon said, something about our old seminar days, and she snapped. You always hovered. She spat later in the wine cellar hallway, like a ghost. Always watching, always wanting. That's not fair, I replied. My voice even. You're not happy for me. You can't be. You think you deserve everything I have. I wanted to be happy for you, I said. But you made it impossible. She laughed, bitter. You're just mad I picked him first. And then she turned on her heels and walked back to the fairy-lit patio, where her groom waited. None the wiser. That was the last time we spoke. Until I showed up at Atlas Field on Monday morning, and Landon looked up from his tablet and saw me. Rachel, he said, his voice low. You're... Here looks like it. I smiled. Professional. Measured. Let's get started. I dropped my bag on the conference table and took my seat at the head. The moment I walked into Atlas Field, I knew this wasn't like Middleton and Ray. There were no glass walls etched with buzzwords. No endless rows of middle-aged men in crisp white shirts adjusting smartwatches while ignoring assistants. Instead, there were bright murals on the walls, standing desks, and teams huddled over product whiteboards. Someone was blasting Fleetwood Mac in the design pod. I kind of loved it, except for the part where Landon Myers was about to see me for the first time in almost a year, and realize I was now his boss. I found my office modest, glass-walled, adjacent to the product team. The irony wasn't lost on me. I barely had time to log in before Derek Lin, the CEO, walked in with his signature calm chaos energy. He was exactly as I remembered from the summit, part visionary, part surfer, part existential crisis wrapped in Patagonia fleece. Rach, he beamed. Glad you said yes. You're gonna fix our mess. I smiled, looking forward to it. He tossed a lanyard onto my desk. You've got full strategy reign. Just don't make anyone cry, except marketing. They deserve it. Then he was gone. Welcome to startup life. At 11:00 a.m., I had my first leadership sync. There were 6 of us in the room. 5 men. And me. Landon walked in 5 minutes late, iced coffee in hand, eyes half on Slack. He didn't notice me at first. Then he froze. The silence hit like a pin drop in a cathedral. I looked up and nodded politely. He blinked, said nothing, and took his seat. All right, Derek said. This is Rachel Ellis, VP of Strategy. We stole her from Madison Avenue. She'll be refining our GTM, restructuring ops, and making sure product doesn't bury us in half-baked launches. A few laughs, one cough. Landon cleared his throat. Pleasure. I nodded again. Likewise. My voice didn't shake. His jaw did. After the meeting, I found a Slack message waiting. Landon Myers. Can we talk? I waited 5 minutes, then replied. Rachel Ellis. Sure. Office. He showed up 2 minutes later, closed the door, then just stood there. You really took the job? I did. And didn't tell Camille? No. Why? I paused. Because it had nothing to do with her. He stared at me. You don't think she's going to see it that way? She saw a lot of things that weren't true. Rachel, I stood. Let's be clear about something. I didn't come here to stir drama. I came here because I'm qualified. I've earned every step of this. I didn't say you hadn't. But you were thinking it. He sighed. This is going to be complicated. Only if you make it that way. I sat down again, and he left. That night, I made dinner alone in my studio apartment. Spaghetti with too much garlic and a glass of wine that tasted like soft rebellion. I stared at the ceiling, at the unfinished book pile, at the silence. I thought about Camille, about Landon, about the ways women get called jealous just for breathing too loudly near someone else's spotlight. I was done being quiet, done waiting to be handed anything. This was my second chance, and I planned to use it. I spent the next week keeping things painfully professional. I ran strategy syncs. I held one-on-ones with the team. I mapped out a Q4 growth plan that Derek said was so good it made my brain sweat. I also avoided Landon. Or at least, I tried to. But we shared a hallway, a Slack channel, a few overlapping responsibilities, and too much history. By Friday afternoon, I found myself at the coffee machine just as he walked up. We both reached for the same mug. He froze. I let go first. Thanks, he said. No problem. He poured. Then, quietly, she still doesn't know. I looked at him. That's your call. Landon. He nodded. She thinks you're working in LA. I laughed once. Dry. Figures. She's not great at nuance. She's great at control. He didn't argue. Instead, he leaned against the counter. You were always honest with me, even when it wasn't easy. I didn't reply. Do you ever regret it? He asked. Regret what? Not telling me how you felt. Back then? I blinked, then took a sip of my coffee. Every day, I said, until I didn't, and walked away. That night, Camille texted. Camille, can't believe you ghosted me. Thought we were grown-ups. I stared at the screen. Did she really not get it? I started typing, then erased it, then typed again. Me. You called me jealous, in front of a room full of people, and you never apologized. Camille. Because you were. Admit it. Me, no. I was hurt. There's a difference. No reply. Of course. The following Monday, Landon presented the Q3 product roadmap to the exec team. I sat at the far end of the conference table. His presentation was solid, sharp, strategic. But it was also something else. It was my framework, one I'd taught him years ago. I felt heat rise in my chest, but not from pride, from erasure. He didn't credit me, didn't even glance my way. After the meeting, Derek caught me by the elevator. Landon's shaping up well, he said. I forced a smile. Yeah, he knows what plays to run. You trained him, in a way. Derek raised an eyebrow. You okay? Always. The doors closed, and for the first time in weeks, I wondered if maybe this was a mistake, not the job. But thinking I could rewrite an old story without burning the original pages. The invitation came in a thick, cream-colored envelope, gold foil, embossed lettering. Camille never did subtle. You are cordially invited to a celebratory engagement dinner, hosted by Camille Torres and Landon Myers. Saturday at 7 p.m. Formal attire. I stared at it for a full 5 minutes before I realized what was wrong. The address. It was the penthouse at Marina Towers, Landon's place, not Camille's. I read the name again. Rachel Ellis, +1. So she knew. Monica spotted the envelope on my desk later that day. Please tell me this is a joke. I shrugged. Looks like I made the guest list. You're really going? I hesitated. Should I? She gave me that look, half exasperated, half fierce. Only if you wear the dress that says I'm not the backup plan anymore. I laughed, but it didn't make the knot in my stomach loosen. The night of the dinner, I wore black. Not a morning kind of black. The kind that says, yes, I belong here. Yes, I look better than you remember. And no, I'm not here for you. The penthouse was full startup friends, influencers, family, and people I vaguely remembered from grad school. Champagne floated freely. Landon moved through the room like a diplomat. Camille stood at the center like a queen. And then she saw me. Her smile didn't crack, but her eyes did. Rachel. She purred. So glad you came. Wouldn't miss it, I said. She leaned in. Landon told me you're working together now. I sipped my drink. He reports to me. Actually, her nostrils flared. Just slightly. You've always been ambitious. And you've always been theatrical. We held each other's gaze. Then she laughed light. Breezy. Practiced. Well, she said. Let's toast. Shall we? She turned to clink glasses with the group behind her. And I exhaled. Later that night, Landon cornered me near the balcony. You came, he said. I got invited. She only sent it after she found your name in the org chart. Charming. She's spiraling. Rachel. That's not my responsibility. She thinks you're trying to destroy her. I'm trying to survive her. He sighed. She wasn't always like this. He murmured. Yes, she was. You just didn't see it. He didn't argue. I left before dessert. Walked home in heels that hurt like hell. I told myself I came because I was unbothered. But really, I came to make sure she saw me standing, thriving, and not waiting for crumbs anymore. This wasn't about jealousy. It was about justice. Monday came with the quiet intensity of a loaded inbox and a to-do list I could barely glance at without needing caffeine and therapy. I buried myself in a revamp of our product market alignment doc. The previous strategy was bloated buzzwords over substance, metrics that didn't connect to retention. I was halfway through reworking it when Derek walked in with 2 coffees and a grin. "That thing you said about reducing churn with community referrals. Present it to the board next week." I blinked. That was a brainstorm on Slack at midnight. And it was genius. He sipped his coffee. "Also, I'm moving Landon to report under you officially. Makes more sense." I nodded slowly. "Sure, I'll handle it." What I didn't say was he's already unraveling. That afternoon, I called Landon into a private sync. He sat down with the same wary tension I recognized from the past, the kind of nervousness people get when their past shows up with a clipboard and a title. "We need to clean house," I said, sliding the new framework across the table. "The current roadmap doesn't scale. We're repeating verticals. You and I both know that." He glanced over it, then looked up. "This is really good. Thanks." He didn't hand it back. Instead, "You're better at this than me." I exhaled, measured. I don't need that kind of flattery. "Landon, it's not flattery. It's just true." He leaned back. "When we were at that seminar, you were the one everyone wanted to hear from. Camille used to say it intimidated her." I raised an eyebrow. "She never said that to me. She said you didn't know how to play nice." I gave a small smile. She wasn't wrong, but I stopped playing small. A pause. Then I said, "If we're going to work together, this dynamic needs to change. You don't have to like it, but you do have to respect it." He nodded. "You have it. My respect." I stood. "Then let's fix this launch." He left with the plan in his hand, and I finally let myself breathe. That night, Camille posted a photo, a diamond-laden hand over Landon's on a champagne flute. Caption, "Power couple, building dreams." The comment section was a PR exercise in envy. I stared at it, then clicked away. She was spinning a fantasy. I was building a reality. And reality always lasts longer. 3 weeks passed. Camille hadn't shown up at the office, but her presence clung to every decision Landon made like static, unseen, but buzzing. I kept my focus. The growth campaign launched. Churn dropped. A small feature we greenlit exploded on Product Hunt and earned us a write-up in Tech Journal. Derek fist-bumped me in the hallway. Monica started referring to me as Boss Lady 2.0, and Landon, he started showing up earlier, asking sharper questions, and standing a little straighter. It wasn't lost on me. He was starting to become the version of himself I used to believe in, until Camille made him doubt it. Until I made him doubt it. One Wednesday, we were in a joint team sync, reviewing KPIs. When Landon hesitated mid-slide, "This retention spike on the Gen Z segment, that was your CTA redesign." "Right," he asked. I nodded. "Surprised?" "Yes." He turned to the team. "Can we all take a second to acknowledge Rachel's impact that feature hit because she knew what users weren't saying?" The room clapped politely. I felt it land deeper. He'd given credit. Publicly. Honestly. It changed something. That Friday, Camille appeared. Unannounced. In head-to-toe white. She walked straight into the lobby like she owned it. "I'm here to see Landon," she told the front desk associate. She didn't have a pass, didn't have a meeting, but she had that tone. I was in the middle of drafting a performance brief when Monica poked her head in. "She's here." I didn't have to ask who. I met her at the elevator. "Camille," I said. "What a surprise." She smiled like a knife. "I'm here to take Landon to lunch. Landon's in meetings. And this isn't a social build-in? I see you've taken over more than the org chart." I didn't flinch. Boundaries. You might try them. She stepped closer. "What's the end game?" "Rachel. Embarrass me. Humiliate him. My end game is building something real and not needing your approval to do it." For a moment, her face cracked. Then she pulled it back together. "Tell him I came by." She left without looking back. And I stood there. Strong. Still. Unbothered. That night, Landon called. "Sorry about that. She doesn't scare me." He hesitated. "She's been spinning. She says I'm distracted. Not present. Are you? I don't know." "You do," I said. "You've just been pretending not to." Silence. "Then she's not the only one who used to make me feel small." "You're not small." Landon. He didn't reply, but he didn't hang up either. Monday came with rain. A soft, constant drizzle that blurred the Chicago skyline outside the office windows. Inside, everything was crystal clear. Camille had crossed a line, and I wasn't going to let it happen again. I called a leadership huddle. Landon was last to arrive. He looked tired, wrinkled collar. No coffee. Late. I launched into updates. "Marketing is pushing the Q4 campaign early. I'll be reviewing their pitch deck tomorrow." "Landon, I need your revised product notes on the new mobile integration before EOD." He nodded. Silent. I continued. "Also, I want to make something clear to everyone. Visitors must go through front desk check-in. No exceptions." A pause. Heads turned slightly. Landon's ears turned red. "I'll take care of that," he murmured. "I'm sure you will," I said. And that was that. That afternoon, Derek swung by with his usual whirlwind energy. "You good?" he asked, poking his head in. "Better than good. Just managing expectations." He grinned. "Love it. You've brought discipline without the drama." If only he knew. That night, I walked home in the rain. No umbrella, just earbuds and the steady hum of thunderclouds. And halfway home, my phone buzzed. It was a message from Landon. "Landon, I need to talk. Not here, not at work." I stared at it, then typed back. "Rachel." "Then where?" "Landon. Anywhere you'll actually listen." I hesitated, then sent an address. A quiet diner on Belmont Avenue. Neutral ground. He showed up 20 minutes late. Wet hair, hoodie, no ring. He slid into the booth. Didn't speak right away. Then finally, I broke it off. I blinked. "You what?" He stared at the table. "Camille and we haven't been happy in months. Maybe years. I just didn't want to admit it. Because it was easier. Because I was scared." He looked up at me. "But seeing you here, doing what you do, reminded me what it looks like when someone isn't afraid to own their truth." I swallowed hard. That night at the rehearsal dinner, "You weren't jealous?" "No," I said quietly. "I was hurt. But I never wanted what you two had. I just wanted not to be erased." He nodded. And for the first time since everything blew up, I believed him. Back at home, I stood by the window. The city pulsed below, and something inside me, anger, grief, old dreams finally settled. I hadn't come to take anything. I came to take back what I'd given away. My voice, my worth, my place. And I wasn't done yet. The week after Landon broke the engagement, Camille went silent. No texts, no posts, No drama. It was terrifying. Because Camille wasn't the type to disappear. She was the type to reload. At Atlas Field, work intensified. We were weeks away from launching our biggest update yet, a new personalization engine. Landon threw himself into it, building, reviewing, leading stand-ups like a man trying to outpace his own reflection. I respected it, but I also saw through it. Pain dressed as productivity is still pain. On Wednesday, Monica burst into my office. She posted. I looked up. What, Camille? On her blog. A personal essay. I opened the link. The title slapped me in the face. When Your Best Friend Wants Your Life. A cautionary tale about trust, power, and betrayal. My name wasn't mentioned, but my shadow was in every sentence. She called you calculated, Monica said, and manipulative, and jealous. Again. I closed the tab. I've been called worse, but it's public now. I nodded. Let it burn. I've got real work to do. Still, I felt it. The whisper in meetings, the stares. People read that blog, even if they pretended not to. Friday morning, I found a card on my desk. No envelope, just 5 words written in thick black ink. Don't let her define you. No signature, but I knew the handwriting. Landon. We launched the update that afternoon. The numbers exceeded projections. The press picked it up. Atlas Field trended. And I stood at the center despite everything Camille tried to undo. At the launch party, Derek clinked his glass. Here's to Rachel, the engine behind the engine. She came in like a scalpel, and we're sharper for it. People clapped. Landon stood nearby, watching. Later, he approached. She's going to keep pushing, he said quietly. Let her. He smiled. You're not scared anymore. I was never scared. I was just polite. He paused. Then, would you grab coffee sometime? Just not as boss and report. I looked at him. Longer than I needed to. Then nodded. Maybe. That night, I walked home alone. No blog post could change what I built. No past could unseat what I became. Camille had a story, but so did I. And mine wasn't done yet. Camille didn't back down. After the blog post, she gave a podcast interview, spoke at a panel, even wrote a thread on narcissistic betrayal masked as female friendship. Still never said my name, but she didn't have to. People connected the dots. Some fell off. Some stayed quiet. But the people who mattered, they stood closer. Derek called me into his office on Monday. I want you to represent us at the Women in Tech Leadership Summit, he said. My eyebrows raised. That's usually you. He shrugged. You're the better face right now. Smart, calm, strong. And you did just lead the best quarter we've had in 2 years. I blinked. You're serious. Dead serious. He smiled. And frankly, Camille's noise. It's making you more visible. Controversy plus competence equals credibility. I laughed. Should I send her flowers? He grinned. Why not? The summit was in San Francisco. Keynote stage, spotlights, my name in the program. I wore navy. No frills, no apology. I talked about leadership as quiet power, about accountability, boundaries, and not waiting to be rescued or rewarded. I got a standing ovation. And when I stepped off stage, someone from a VC firm handed me a card. If you ever want to build something of your own, she said. My hands shook as I pocketed it. Not from fear, from recognition. Back at Atlas Field, I found Landon waiting at my office. He looked different, softer, maybe. He handed me coffee. I watched your speech, he said. 3 times. You really need a hobby. He smiled. I used to think Camille was the brave one, that she was the one chasing big dreams. And now I see she was performing. But you? He paused. You've always been the real thing. My throat tightened. We were never meant to compete, I said. But she made it a war. And you still didn't fight dirty. No, I said. I just refused to lose. That weekend, I went to the lake. No phone, no noise, just me, a notebook, and space to think. I wrote down a single sentence. There's no peace in proving, only in becoming. Then I closed the notebook and started over. 6 months later, I walked into the boardroom not as someone's former best friend, not as someone's boss, but as myself. Founder, CEO. My nameplate said Rachel Ellis, Solara Strategies. It started with that card from the VC woman at the summit. A conversation turned into a coffee, turned into funding, turned into this. A boutique strategy firm run by women, built for the next wave of startups that valued clarity over chaos. Monica came with me as COO. Derek gave us his blessing, and Landon, he made his own move. I hadn't seen him in 3 months, not since he handed in his resignation from Atlas Field and disappeared into a sabbatical. But then, one Friday afternoon, my assistant knocked. There's someone here to see you. I looked up, and there he was, clean-shaven, softer, but steady. Got a minute, he asked. I nodded. We stepped into the lounge. I launched something, he said. A product. He shook his head. A life. I'm teaching product design at the community college downtown. I smiled. You always said you wanted to build something that stayed built. He nodded. And I wanted to tell you Camille left town. New job. New name. Apparently, she always wanted reinvention. He looked at me. You're happy, he asked. Not always, I said, but honest. He exhaled. That's enough, he said. Then, do you want to grab a drink? I paused, then smiled. Maybe. That night, I sat on the rooftop of my new apartment. No ring, no revenge, just a notebook and the city below. I wrote one last line. They said I was jealous. I said I was done being quiet. The wind picked up. I didn't flinch. I just turned the page and started again.